Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of No Holds Barred here at the Toronto Sun. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Postmedia wrestling writer Jan Murphy. Some of the most hardcore AEW fans reside in Canada, and we are very pleased today to be joined by the founder, CEO, GM, and head of creative of All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan. Tony, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Rob. It's great to see you both. Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting to talk to you today. But I know Jan and I have a ton we want to ask you about AEW. But as I mentioned off the top, some of the biggest AEW fans are in this country, and the city of Toronto especially. I know they've been waiting anxiously to find out when you plan on returning north of the border. What news can you give us on that front?
Well, I can't wait for AEW to make our return. Coming very soon this September, we'll be making our return for AEW All Out at Scotiabank Arena. That's going to be so exciting. The first ever international AEW All Out pay-per-view. And I'm so thrilled that we're doing it. 2025 has been, I think, one of the best years we've ever had in AEW. I think right now this has been the best start we've ever had. And I want to keep all the momentum going. And something we're very excited about is bringing the All Out pay-per-view to Toronto this September. It's been one of the biggest pay-per-views in AEW traditionally, and we have a really, really exciting plan for this year. I think that bringing AEW All Out into a new market like Toronto in particular is exciting because All Out traditionally has been in Chicago. We're still going to have great events in Chicago. We still have a great plan for Chicago, but something new and exciting we're going to try this year is bringing the AEW All Out pay-per-view there to Toronto, which we're so thrilled about, so excited about. And, that's why I wanted to come here and talk to you guys about it today. I thought that what an exciting thing to do to come to visit both of you who do such a great job covering pro wrestling to talk about something we're really pumped up about, which is this. AEW's had, of course, our big pay-per-view debut with Forbidden Door. Yep. And that was one of the best shows we've ever done. 2023 Forbidden Door. It was a great, great event. And for me, I've really put that on my Mount Rushmore of the best shows we've ever done. I think Forbidden Door 2023. So it's going to be a high standard that we've set for ourselves in Toronto, in Scotiabank Arena. And we're going to return on September 20th. And on Saturday, September 20th, you can expect the very best of AEW. It's going to be a great night, and hopefully we'll be able to live up to that incredibly high standard we set for ourselves with Forbidden Door a couple years ago.
Tony, I was at the match in Toronto that saw Cope and Christian Cage square off. One of my favorite matches ever, maybe one of the most underrated matches I've ever seen. What is it about the Toronto market that is so attractive and always produces these great matches? I mean, you put those two guys in the ring against each other, and they wore Leafs jerseys, and there were hockey sticks involved in that match. It was a fantastically told wrestling match between two guys with a long history with one another. But you've also got a bunch of other Canadians on your roster as well. Talk a little bit about why Toronto is so attractive to AEW.
Well, Toronto is one of the greatest wrestling cities on the planet. It's a very special place. When I was in college, I went on spring break to Toronto to watch wrestling. And it's someplace I really love. And it's, to me, what we call in America a Mount Rushmore city. It's one of the real crown jewel cities. It's definitely, to me, one of my top 4 pro wrestling cities on the planet. And I think it's certainly here in North America up there with the very top wrestling markets. And I love anytime we can bring a wrestling show to Toronto. I think there's great wrestling fans all over Ontario. We've done great shows in London, Ottawa, Hamilton, and in particular in Toronto and in different venues. We've had great experience at the Coca-Cola Coliseum, but certainly Scotiabank Arena is a mecca for us and a mecca for pro wrestling. And I'm so excited about bringing AEW All Out back to Scotiabank Arena this year for All Out 2025 on September 20th.
Well, you've got a ton of Canadian wrestlers on your roster. I imagine they're going to be banging on your office door to try to get on this card later this year. So you mentioned, off the top as well, that this is maybe one of the best starts to a year for you at AEW. We're now into year 7, which seems crazy. I'm sure it does for you too. It felt like probably just yesterday that you guys were getting off the ground. But when you think back to how things started to where you are now, what stands out the most to you?
Well, that's a great question. I think the thing that's really exciting for us is we started out working with Warner Brothers Discovery years ago. We were one of the shows that really, from 2018 now to 2025, we've been working on this. We announced officially in 2019 the launch of AEW, and like you said, it's been over 6 years now, and going on year 7 that AEW has been around. I think we've been doing years of very successful wrestling in America on TBS and TNT, and in Canada on TSN. And those have been great partners and continue to be great partners. You can count on seeing AEW every Wednesday night on TSN and on TBS in America. And you can count on the great Collision shows now on the USA Network in Canada, also being on TNT in America. Now, what's really changed for us this year, it's been a true game changer, sport changer for AEW. It's changed the whole marketplace for us in terms of AEW's wrestling landscape. It's Max. It's the streaming service. Having AEW on Max has helped us reach new viewers, new audience, a younger audience, all kinds of people that had never seen AEW before, maybe even some cord cutters that had gotten away from cable coming back into AEW now. And we're still seeing record viewership. On TSN and TBS and TNT, the audience all went up from Q4 to Q1. Even though we started streaming, more people are watching on cable, which is the complete opposite of what every analyst would have expected. It's been where we've actually grown our cable numbers as we've expanded into the streaming universe. And I think that move into streaming has injected a lifeblood into AEW that's been a really positive thing for the wrestlers, the staff, and the fans in 2025. And the most important thing we're doing is great shows every week. Every Wednesday night and Saturday night, the shows have really delivered. And our fans have been really behind the company. And our fans love wrestling. They're very vocal. And we listen. And I love hearing it when they enjoy it. And I want to lean into the things they like. It can't be the same show every week. It has to be different things. But trying to produce shows that our fans like is something we want to do and have been doing, I think, a really great job of in 2025.
Tony, no doubt you have changed the wrestling business. Let me flip that around. Has the wrestling business changed Tony Khan in the last, 7 years?
Yes, a lot.
How so?
Well, it's a huge part of my life. We've put on hundreds of shows. I've made relationships that have been life-changing. I was just reading a story today that's probably the proudest I am of anything we've done in AEW, which is the way we sent off Sting to give one of the all-time great send-offs in the history of sports. And when you talk about big stars, generations of fans, some of the biggest stars in every walk of life, some people all over the planet have heard of Sting, have watched Sting. People grew up watching Sting. I grew up watching Sting. Generations of fans have had Sting as one of their all-time favorite wrestlers. And for me to be able to bring Sting into AEW and give him the send-off that we did, I still think that's the most special thing in AEW history. And last year's Revolution was such a fantastic event. And the thing that stood above everything else was the final match of Sting and the way that he carried himself. Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks is one of the best matches of all time, and it's one of the best send-offs of all time for one of the greatest wrestlers, which is Sting. I read a quote today that Sting said, "I love Tony." And to have Sting say that and speak so glowingly about his experiences in AEW, and for Sting to know that he had the best retirement that anybody could have ever imagined, I just think it's so fantastic. And that certainly is something I'll always carry with me. There's been good things and bad things, but that's about as nice of a thing as I could ever imagine to have.
Yeah, I can only imagine what a young Tony Khan would have felt hearing down the road that Sting would have said those types of things. That's really incredible, and it's true. Just one of the best send-offs we've ever seen. And look, you've got this job at AEW, many jobs at AEW, but you're also involved with the Jacksonville Jaguars and with Fulham. I'm curious how you have time to balance all of these roles. Like, I barely have time to eat a snack during the day with my own job. Like, how do you find time to make sure you're doing everything efficiently and effectively?
I just try to do my best. I really love what I'm doing. I love the people I work with. I'm very fortunate to be in pro wrestling, working with so many of the best people in the wrestling industry, and to work in football with so many of the best people in football, and to have so many great people in my life in the different sports I'm in across wrestling and football. And I feel very fortunate. And at AEW and Fulham and the Jacksonville Jaguars, they all have something in common, which is great people, and I think they're all having at very exciting times in their histories right now, all three, AEW and Fulham and the Jaguars.
Tony, I know you grew up a wrestling fan, which is what led you down this path. The world lost a wrestling legend, Sabu. Died. Was it this morning or last night?
Yeah.
I mean, it might have been yesterday morning. But what are your recollections of Sabu? And I don't think I came to appreciate him until later in my life when I went back and started watching some of what he did in ECW, and really, really changed wrestling, I think.
Yeah, I agree that he changed wrestling. I've been a big fan of Sabu since I was 10 years old and followed his career. I first saw him in magazines. I am very sorry to his family and very sorry to all of his close friends. I got to work with him recently. Sabu came in and was involved in AEW and worked with us, and we really liked having him. I was a big fan of Sabu, and I mentioned that to him. I didn't get to know him as well as I would have liked, but I was a big, big fan of Sabu, and went to the ECW Arena. I saw him wrestle RVD in the stretcher match in the ECW Arena. Also saw him against Chris Jericho in Chris Jericho's second to last match in ECW that same weekend. But certainly it was a special thing to see him, and it was something I was really excited about. At the time then, I was 13 years old. And actually, I saw a video today on X, at Promo Joe, zoomed in on me as a 13-year-old wearing a Taz t-shirt, watching the Sabu RVD stretcher match and my reactions. And I was legitimately very excited to be there. And that was the main event of my weekend. That was a main event of the weekend in ECW and my big weekend in Philadelphia. And it was a really cool thing. And it was a very special match for anyone who was there and anybody who knows the history of it. And that was unbelievably 29 years ago.
Wow.
We'll be making AEW's debut in that venue, the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, doing a series of shows there right around when we come to Toronto for All Out, that same time period. We'll be doing some shows in that proximity, just days apart. We'll be in Philadelphia, where I got to see Sabu versus RVD in that stretcher match, and I wasn't expecting to see today a video of me, 13 years old, zoomed in on me and my reactions in that match. But that's something I was really excited about, and he was a very special wrestler, Sabu, and he will be missed. He was very influential on a lot of people, and in my experiences with him, he was a very nice man too.
Taz posted a great tribute to him on social media today as well.
Yeah, I saw that. There's been some great tributes, including the one from Taz. Like I said, I was a big fan of both of those guys, and having worked with Taz and knowing him very well in my life, I'm very sorry for him and for the people that knew Sabu well and worked with him and his family above all else. It's a real terrible thing to see somebody pass away. Anytime somebody passes away, and a young man at 60 years old. My father, who is somebody, obviously to me, is one of the most special people in the entire world, but also I think he's truly is one of the most special people in the entire world, and one of the greatest entrepreneurs and success stories. My dad came up with nothing and has built so much from so little and worked so hard for everything he's gotten. And my dad was the one who took me to Philadelphia when I was 13 years old, and I was fortunate to see Sabu in person twice against Chris Jericho and Rob Van Dam. And my father mentioned to me yesterday as we were together with my mom for Mother's Day with my family, my dad mentioned it. He was aware of Sabu, and he asked me about it. He remembered Sabu very well from wanting to see him. He was the top dog in ECW then. He was in the main event both nights we were there, and he was clearly the top star of the promotion. And this is after he had come back, after he was the top star of the promotion. And there was a thing, if you followed it closely, where he was away for a little bit in the mid-'90s and then came back. And this was in '96, and he was really back and on top and at the height of his powers. And I was very fortunate to see Sabu then, and fortunate to get to meet him later in life. Thanks for asking about it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very well said. Just an incredible career for Sabu, and definitely will be missed. But Tony, thanks again for the time today. Once again, you heard it from the man himself. AEW All Out will be coming to Scotiabank Arena in Toronto Saturday, September 20th. Ticket information still to be announced in the near future, but you can go to allelitewrestling.com for all of the latest information. Tony, we really appreciate you joining us today, and best of luck to you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me today. It's great to see you both, and look forward to seeing you both at All Out on September 20th in Toronto.
Thanks, Tony.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.